Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live, taking questions on this Monday morning. Hope you're doing well. Someone had asked me if someone asked their dad if I could help them become like Wolverine, who this question was asked by a 9-year-old son to his dad who was working out at the time because he's an online client. And my answer was, that's what I do. I build superheroes. So tell your son that. Anyway, it was a fun little exchange back and forth, but it got me thinking about the example that we set with our kids. Plus, this guy just wants to be around, so he's a better dad to his kids. Um, that is a kid's first superhero. So that's what I do. Whether you are training to be in the tactical professions or you are a young parent who just trying to help be a better parent to raise your kids. Give them an example of moving more, eating less. That's a superhero to a young kid. You're you're that kid's first superhero. So good job. He sees you putting in the work. Thinks that I am making a superhero in his dad. So why not ask? Can I be like Wolverine? Maybe Stu can help. So anyway, help me come up with a what I do in one sentence when I get asked that question. People ask me, so Stu, what do you do now? I make superheroes. There you go. 3 words. I have dropped my what I do in one sentence down to 3 words. That is a big thing of brevity right there. So anyway, the Mondays we usually talk about the workouts of the week and preview. We started off Monday morning with a leg day. We are in week 4 of our fall training. Pretty sure it's week 4. Anyway, it's a week where we transition back into a more calisthenics cardio based week. So today was a hill day with a lot of squats, a lot of lunges, a lot of intervals, hill sprints. But it's a good leg day. We didn't use any weights today. It was more back to the pull back a little bit from adding weights for the last 3 weeks and transitioning back into shorter, faster runs, but at the same time, working on cardiovascular endurance and speed as well as muscle stamina. So that was today, leg day on Monday. A lot of people tend to do upper body day, but I tell you what, if you're having a hard time finding a bench on a Monday, do leg day on Monday. Do bench tomorrow because International Bench Day is today in most gyms. So you might find a free squat rack, and then tomorrow you'll find free bench presses. Just the way it works. So, um, tomorrow will be our upper body day where we're doing a really tough pyramid. The old 1, 12 down to 1. So if you do the math on that, that's 144 pull ups, 288 push ups, multiplied by 3, I don't know, 4 or something, abs, where we'll mix in some planking too. And then we'll do 144 dips mixed with a run every set. So a quarter-mile run, every set for 23 sets is almost 6 miles of running. So tomorrow will be a busy day of running. Short 2-minute runs, maybe a minute and a half to 2 minutes, depending on your pace. But that's tomorrow. Then we'll swim, do a 50-50 afterwards. Today we'll swim with fins as it is a leg day. Haven't done that yet. I'm going to do that at lunch. Tomorrow, and then Wednesday is mobility day. Thursday is another leg day that we're mixing with um, a track, I think. So track workout with some leg PT. And then Friday's an upper body day. And then Saturday is our fun Spec Ops Triathlon, where we're going to only run 3 miles, ruck 3 miles, swim a mile. And if you can't swim, you have to do a devil's mile, which is a quarter-mile lunge, quarter-mile bear crawl, quarter-mile fireman carry, and a quarter-mile burpee broad jump. So, and we have patches for that one too. So, should be a fun one. But that's my week in advance. Let me know if you guys got any questions. Happy to answer them. Looks like we got a few popping up already. And let me get started. I set off on my AFSW journey tomorrow morning. Oh, good luck. I'm feeling powerful and hopeful for the future. Thanks for your programs. Hey, good job, Luis. Um, I will say this. We just had one of our guys get through the selection. I'm not sure what he's going to get selected for. If he's going to go in the PJ pipeline or the CCT pipeline, but he just got through that selection process and said it was tough, but he said it was worth it. So he's enjoying life now. So good luck. Just started Navy SEAL PST book, workout schedule. Absolutely love the Spartan workout. Yeah, you know what? That's one of my favorite too. You know, I've been doing that one since the 90s, probably even the 80s even. Where I came up with that one was at the Naval Academy when we would run um, a perimeter around the academy, and then every mile, sometimes half mile or so, there's a set of pull-up bars, um, and we would stop and do pull-up, push-ups, abs, things like that. Or it'd be a leg day and we do squats and lunges every mile or so. Um, but yeah, I like those Spartan workouts, man. They're really good. Let's see. Going to West Point. I passed my candidate fitness assessment. Now I'm trying to get ready for Beast, focusing on lifting to get stronger. How much running? You need to run. I mean, you need to make that 2 mile timed run easy because that candidate fitness assessment was just a 1 mile test, and you need to get better at 2 mile timed runs. But there's also some lifting you should also do just to be prepared for the the combat fitness test, the ACFT, which is deadlifts and planks and overhead medicine ball throws. You got hand release push-ups now versus regular push-ups. And sprint drag carry. So you got to sprint 25 yards and back. You have to drag a sled 25 yards and back. You have to carry two 50-pound kettlebells down and back. So like a fast farmer run, I would call it. And then you have to sprint again. So sprint, drag, carry, sprint. But yeah, you need to Google that. In fact, I would suggest going into Army Combat Fitness Test. Sue Smith. I've written a couple of good articles on it. But I've also written a program for it as well. You'll also probably be seeing in fact, I'm putting a link to it right here. You'll probably also be seeing the regular PFT at some point where you'll do, I say I need to update this combat fitness test as the leg tuck is no longer in. They moved the leg tuck and made it a plank pose. So, but the ebook book is also updated for planking. But I tell you what, man, I have grown to like that leg tuck exercise, and I recommend keeping it in your programming, even though you don't get tested on it. It's really tough, and it's a great way to stretch out your lower back and to flex your everything from your grip to your biceps to your lats to your core and your hips. All of that has to be engaged in order to do a leg tuck. So keep practicing those, even though you don't have to do them. They're a good exercise. But yeah, running. I would build up to at least 20 miles a week of running. Yep. Read that article. You'll see some programming ideas for yourself. Getting a big tattoo right now. Damn. I've been looking forward to this. Well, sorry I won't be able to stick around with you for a whole 5 hours getting a tattoo, but that's fun. That's something I never pulled the trigger on. I never got a tattoo. Never a reason. Never had a reason to get one, I guess. Not knocking them. I think they're pretty cool. But if I'm gonna put something on my body, I want to find a meaning for it. Maybe if I beat cancer or something. As a, for most of us, it's not a matter of if you get cancer, it's when. So when I beat cancer, I'll get a big frog man on my forearm. Maybe this one. This is what I was thinking actually. This guy right here, Freddy Frogman, right there on my forearm. I think that would be cool. So yeah, enjoy. What are you getting a tattoo of? Superhero? Looney Tunes character? I've seen some dumb ones too, so make it cool. One of your guys that you mentioned that just finished selection, was it Peter? Ah, no words, no names. Not telling you. Yeah, I don't want to cause anybody any extra grief in the pipeline. So I'm not going to answer that question. And tied to the above for the SEAL officers, and and have put through the pipeline, how happy are they with their jobs and different job career progression, like in the post global war on terror world? They like it. In fact, we had 3 come back for their, I think, 5 and 10-year reunions at the Naval Academy, and all of them still enjoying it. They're excited about the transition. To be honest with you, they see a role that is different for the last 20 years, um, and somewhat exciting too. It's kind of going back to the older school um, secret squirrel society that I think it should be, when you're dealing with uh, newer threats. Let's just say that. By the way, you got a big shout out from DJ Shipley when he said if anyone's going to start a military career, they need to do your programs. That's where I found you. Jaden, DJ is a good guy. I was really shocked that he said that he didn't have to do that. Honored that he did. I knew him before he went to Buds, and he's a stud. He is a good dude. So I wish him all the success in the world. I recorded that one just because that one's just too good not to share again. So, sir, is it possible to point to a video with a Navy SEAL aced PST, especially the calisthenics part? It'd be helpful to have something to aim to. Um, I have a couple out there. Let me see. Bud's PST clinic video. Let me see if I have that. I did a I mean, there's a couple out there that aren't mine that are pretty good too. Um, I think Seal Grinder PT has a PST video. Um, I did one a while back ago. Um, in fact, yeah, I can't find it right now. Let me see if it's on my main page. You know where I think it is? I think it's on my heroesoftomorrow.org page. Check out that. Check out heroesoftomorrow.org. There's a video up there. And I'm actually doing a PST with some guys, but it's not the whole thing. You know, it's not 2 minutes of watching some dude do push ups and 2 minutes of watching some dude do sit ups. Could I do that? Yes. It's a little boring, to be honest with you, for me to videotape that. Um, Let me see. I think I have a couple of other ones. If you go to this link, the PST clinic, you will see both. I think there's a video and written process of me giving 4 people the PST all at once. And I walk through everybody's scores and their pace and explain what they did right, what they did wrong. This is where you'll probably find your most information in this PST clinic. It's really good um, as it shows you the pacing importance of the swim and the run and the sit-ups. It shows you the push-up strategies and pull-up strategies the guys had when they were going through it. Um, so yeah, check out that, Victor. That may be helpful. So Mikhail's getting a tattoo, a shoulder piece. Cool. Of an eagle. I like it. Can't go wrong with a good old eagle. Um, is it okay to email you my current numbers to ask which? Oh, absolutely. In fact, I tell everybody to email me. In fact, it's right here, stu@stewsmith.com. Look at that banner strolling by, stu@stewsmith.com. Just email me. Happy to share um, what I'd recommend. And you send a video with it of you swimming, I can fix that for you as well. A lot of people send me videos. In fact, we'll do tomorrow's show at 9 o'clock. Will be a combat swimmer stroke video critique show and live Q&A as well. So we'll talk a little bit after that as well. I've seen people online trying to downplay the kinetic active role of SEAL officers. That if you want to operate, just enlist instead. It's not, I mean, it's not a lie, but I mean, there are SEALs officers that are also in the fight as well. Um, is it nonsense? To a degree. I mean, there's some badass SEAL officer heroes out there that were definitely in the conflict. So You know, now is it a fact that an enlisted SEAL will be operational longer? Sure, they have that potential, but it also depends on one, their abilities, as it does the officer's abilities. It depends on sometimes just personal preference. Being deployed for 10 years is tough on you and your family. You may want some shore duty where you could be a buds instructor or do something else, be another type of instructor, advanced training instructor, something that doesn't deploy for a few years. Um, so, while it is true the enlisted SEAL is the operator, there the officer is also an operator, but he's also a manager and the person responsible, and is also holds people to account as well as held accountable by his officers, senior officers. So it's a different role. The way I look at it is think of it like, you're a quarterback on a football team. You're not you're responsible for getting that ball down the field, but you have a team to do it. You're not going to do it by yourself, and you're definitely going to be taking the advice of the veteran linemen, veteran receivers and backs that are there helping you make the right decisions. So Jeff and I did a podcast on this one. You should check it out. We did an officer and enlisted podcast. It's pretty good. How many SEAL wannabes do I know? A couple. Are there women in buds right now? I don't think so. Could be. Maybe in prep. How do women usually perform in buds? They haven't been in buds to perform yet. I the only females that have made it through anything that is remotely similar to buds are the female officer candidates. Uh, all have been from the Naval Academy and made it through SOAS, the SEAL Officer Assessment Selection, which they're put through 1 week of training, really. And they're exposed to boats and logs and 4 mile timed runs and swims with fins and lots of PT and obstacle course, all that stuff. And they typically perform, if you put them in like the best ones are performing in the upper 50 percentile. So there are some women that are beating half the men, but they tend to be in that 40 to 50th percentile overall. But some of them win something, like some may be great swimmers and they win the swim. They're best swimmer of all of them, or they're a very good runner and can outrun most of the guys or something, right? What's a religious makeup? I don't know. Probably Catholic, Southern Baptist, Christian, maybe overall. But I mean, there's some Jewish guys in the team. Um, there's, I would say probably most of them are agnostic or potentially atheist, but you get a few Christians in there too. So it's a mix. It's about a mix of society, I'd say. What would you say the religious makeup of society is? Because that's basically a cross section. Since I'm not swimming for a little while due to the tattoo, What should I replace it with? I would just replace it with biking, something non-impactful. You know, I think that'd be good. Go hard on leg days, since you can't swim, um, with fins, put the bike on a higher resistance. If I had to go through buds again, would I prepare differently? Well, buds is different from when I went through a little. Still the same, a lot of the same tests that will get you kicked out, but um, there was no rucking in first phase when I was there. There tends to be now, though they've taken it out again. Um, so I probably wouldn't change that much. I was pretty well prepared, but it took me 2 years to get really well prepared for buds to the point where I never once risked failing anything, um, and was able to compete on several events to be either the winner or the top 10%, 15% of the class. But I would say, always looking back, I always wished I was a better runner. Still, running is not something I enjoy. Running is, I would say, um, something I have grown to love hate over the last 40 years. And working on my breathing, my pacing and stuff like that. I would probably wouldn't have trained much differently. I would have just been more smarter with timed run training versus just going for runs and trying to push myself at no particular pace or running too slow or running too fast versus really mastering my pace. Do SEALs deal with metatarsalogia, plantar fasciitis, or do the feet toughen up with time? I've had plantar fasciitis. I haven't had the other metatarsalogia. I can't pronounce it, so chances are I don't know what that is. Um, sounds like something with the metatarsals of your feet. But yes, I've had plantar fasciitis. SEALs deal with all of those. Why do SEAL teams not want women joining them? I didn't say that. Why would you think that? I mean, maybe it is, but you know, I'm you ask a lot of the same questions, Fire Rose. I'm not sure how you want me to answer that one. I've heard you ask it several times, but I can say with a fact that there are people right now working to help women join and meet the standards, not join and not meet the standards. So that's the problem. You got to be able to meet the standards to get there. And be quite frankly with it, they haven't met the standards. How should I strengthen my bones? By lifting weights. Most women that go to buds break their legs and stress fractures. Women have weaker bones than men. Um, I guess, you know, keep working out hard. Lifting weights, calisthenics. Look, here's the deal. You need to be able to be like a triathlete powerlifting gymnast. Okay. If you really want to excel at buds as a woman. So you have to be strong so you don't break. You have to be fast so you can run 4 mile times runs. You can ruck. You can swim with fins. And you also need to be, nimble and muscle stamina enough to be able to handle the obstacle course as well as countless calisthenics and cardio activities that is every day at Buds. So we're going to put you in a timeout there because I need to answer more questions than the chance that there's going to be a woman that makes it through Buds. Did you do the old PST with a 3 mile run and a half-mile swim? Yes. That was the old PST at the teams. It used to be two different PSTs. There was a 500-yard swim, pull up, push up, sit ups, mile and a half, to get 2 buds, and then once you were in the teams, you had you started off with the PT. You had pull up, push up, sit ups. Then you ran 3 miles, and then you swam a half mile, or vice. I can't remember which one we did last. Maybe we ran last. I think we swam then ran. But anyway, it was a great test. I like that test. No big deal. Um, Ball of foot pain. Yeah, I mean, you've had all kinds of pains: feet, ankles, shins, knees, femurs, hips, lower back, shoulders, elbows, hands. I mean, you're going to get hurt if you're dealing with that stuff. Would your article on drown proofing be useful for Air Force Special Ops Dive School? I've read they use combat dive course. Is that true? Yes, that's the one they use. In fact, I would recommend this workout for sure. This is a great workout where you do all the events of drown proofing, but you add in a 100-meter swim to in between each event. That's going to get you winded. It's going to work on conditioning. You can do some over unders, make 25 of it being underwater and then 75 on top, however you want to do it. But check out that article that I just posted in the comment section, as it is a really good workout to help you prepare for the types of events you're going to be seeing at Spec Ops Dive School. I'm dealing with pains and balls in my feet from overtraining with bad shoes. That will do it. Was wondering if SEALs overlook such incidences and go for orthotics, like to keep it training. Well, here's what I did. I had a old pair of combat boots, like Vietnam era combat boots, jungle boots. They sucked. We did everything we could to make them better. There's a steel shank in the bottom to prevent bungee sticks from going through your feet. Um, so you cut all that out, right? And that supposedly made it a little lighter, but it definitely made it a little more pliable. They weren't so stiff. Then we put in supportive insoles. The ones I liked that worked really well were made by Sorbathane. In fact, you can Google it after I'm done here. Sorbathane. That's the name of it right there. Um, let's see. Would you consider? I'm sorry. Yeah. So part 2 of this one. Would you consider weekly volume the best factor for preparedness for buds? No. You need volume, but you also need pace. I've seen guys do 50 miles a week thinking that's plenty of volume, but they never focused on their pace, and they're running 8-9 minute mile pace for all those miles, and then they get down to buds and they can't run 32-minute 4-mile timed runs because their legs are tired and they never worked on getting their pace better. So they were just doing zone 2 training and never worked on anything harder to make 7-minute mile pace easy. My recommendation is don't so much worry about volume, but worry about 7-minute mile pace, because that 7-minute mile pace is going to give you a 4-mile run of 28 minutes, which your first phase is going to be 32-minute limit, 31-minute limit, and a 30-minute limit by the time you get to third phase. And you should probably get a little faster with that, but probably not much, because your legs are just going to be wiped out from either logs and boats, lots of lunging, swimming with fins, scuba diving with fins every day when you're in dive phase, rucking when you're in third phase. So every phase just like wreaks havoc on your legs. So lots of lunges, lots of squats, Um, chest carry lunges like this just to prepare your legs for training. Um, just high repetitions. All of those are going to help you. But yeah, I never really used orthotics, but I definitely used insoles. So let's see what else we got here. Any tips on staying awake when you are really sleepy or to make the sleeping sensation go away? Activity will, breathing will. Take some real fast, short breaths. Get your heart rate up a little bit. Jumping jacks always were good. You know, Getting wet will wake you up 100%. So you think it's hard to stay awake at buds? It's really not. You are constantly wet and you're uncomfortable. To be able to sleep while you're uncomfortable, that takes like 3 days of hell week before you can sleep standing up and sleep under a boat wet and sandy. So I wouldn't sweat it too much. You'll be awake just because they'll wake you up with getting you wet and sandy all the time. If that's what you were asking. If you were asking about staying awake to study, do stuff like that, my suggestion would be go do a workout at like 8 p.m. and that will keep you awake um, for at least 3 or 4 more hours before you can fall asleep very well. And if you need to move again because you need to stay up longer, go for a walk, do some jumping jacks, go for a quick lift, 10, 15 minutes of pull ups and push ups. That'll wake you up. I'm around 5'10, 140, 155, 150. Do you suggest bulk up before selection? Yes, that's pretty skinny. Um, Unless you're wiry strong and have a history of lifting or hard work on a farm, chances are, load bearing will be very challenging for you. So I would do a lift cycle. Put it this way, most guys that are doing well at like SEAL training at that height, 5'10, are probably about 180, 185. Strong enough not to get crushed by boats, but not too heavy to where they can't run, 7-minute miles, 6-minute miles on their PFT. So yeah, I'd probably put on some weight. Put it this way, I was 6 feet 195 going through when I was 22 years old. So I'm 6 feet 200 right now. Trying to get back to my college weight. I tell you what, those last 5 pounds are rough. So trying to stay under 200 for the rest of my life. Just because I feel better. It's easier to run. It's my blood work is always better when I'm not so heavy. A couple times I've been up to 220, just from lifting heavy and just got too big. Blood pressure too high, cholesterol's too high. It's just not good. So for me, I got to get under 200 pounds and stay there. Hopefully, get down to 185 one day. Be really lean. Headed to Air Force Basic tomorrow. Hey, good job. Good luck to you. Thanks for serving. Open-ended contract over there with Special Warfare. That's fun. Couldn't have gotten the shape that I am without you. Oh man, well thank you. Glad I was here to help. So you'll be glad you did some of those workouts because you will probably see something very similar to them. I don't just come up with these things blindly. You know, Many of these are straight from the horse's mouth of people who just finished those selections and things that got to them. So I try to help people prepare for those challenges. They don't even know it. So, what can I focus on to help me push through the days of buds when I'm not feeling motivated? Be disciplined. You're not going to be motivated every day at Buds. In fact, you'll be faking motivation just about every single day. You're going to be saying, "Hoo-yah, wet and sandy, hoo-yah, push-ups." It's a lot of fake motivation at Buds, but you know the one thing that isn't fake? Discipline. People who make it are disciplined. And there's an article I wrote how motivation evolves to discipline. So that's what I just Googled. And here's the article: Why Motivation Must Evolve to Discipline. It's really good. And it's a process. It's kind of a journey, to be honest with you. You know, everybody's inspired or motivated at first, right? We all get this inspirational thing. Like, you know, the day I saw this, I was like, oh, yeah, this is a folder I want, right? This is all me, right? Or you saw a poster or you saw something and you're inspired. You know, this is it. This is what you're going to do. Well, that inspiration and motivation doesn't last very long, but while it does, you should work really hard at building those habits that are going to help you, right? Build good habits. Build a time in the day when you are working out, no matter what. This is your go time, right? So there'll be a day, maybe a month in the future, where you're not so motivated. You're tired. You didn't sleep well. Maybe you didn't eat well. You're dehydrated. It's hot, humid outside. You don't feel motivated to go, but you've created this habit. So you have a little bit of discipline. And that discipline gets you through that workout. And now you can say, I just worked out even though I didn't feel like it. That's pretty powerful. That takes you to another level of discipline where it becomes mental toughness, right? And you get a scoop of that mental toughness every time you do that. Every time you jump into cold water, even though you don't feel like getting wet. Every time you get out from under that blanket and go work out first thing in the morning and it's still dark outside, you know, and you go anyway. Gives you a scoop of that mental toughness. That's how you get through Buds. That's how you get through life. You're not motivated every single day. In fact, today I woke up and I was like, yeah, I really don't want to do this. I could stay in bed right now, but then I know I feel like crap if I do. In fact, something this is kind of timely. Got this in the mail. Somebody is a return missing address, so it came back to me. The Key to Mental Toughness, Phase 4. This is by far my hardest workout I've ever written. So this is, if you ever wonder what like the first 4 weeks of Buds are like, this is it. Because you wake up, you run a mile, you go eat breakfast, you run a mile back. These are called breakfast runs, which you'll do every day. Then you go through some grinder PT with sets of 100 flutter kicks and leg levers. And then you go get wet and you come back and do some pull ups and dips, run the beach for 3 miles. Then you go lunch, run a mile there, a mile back. Then you got a 1,000-meter time swim. That's just day one. Good stuff. Log PT simulators. Oh, yeah, this is good stuff. And then here's the fun part: is week 5 is this is my Hell Week simulation week, where there are literally day 1 there are 3 workouts to do. Day 2, 4, 5, 6, 3 workouts to do. Day 3, 3 workouts to do. 2 workouts, they're just very long. Day 4, day 5, day 6. Oh, you got like 15 workouts to do in 5 days. That's one of those things you don't want to do that much. But it's a good little gut check. You know, I was thinking that, you know, a lot of people would, you know, be a little bit burned out after that one. But then they come back and said, you know what? After I did that one, my push ups were better. My sit ups were better. I was like, okay, that goes beyond any physiology I've ever learned. So it's kind of interesting hearing that one. But that's phase 4 of my 3-part Navy SEAL program. The phase 1's a beginner, phase 2, 3 is kind of like that intermediate level where you're crushing the PST, but you're trying to maintain it, but get through buds as well. So phase 2 and 3 is a good one for that one. And then this one is like off the charts, hardest one I've ever made. But it'll definitely test your motivation, right? When I talk about the key to mental toughness, testing your motivation is the key to mental toughness. So, Sean, that was a long answer. Sorry about that. Should my priorities go running, swimming, calisthenics, weightlifting? It depends. That would be mine, but I grew up powerlifting and playing football, and I didn't need to lift. So I didn't lift for like 18 months. All I did was run, swim, and calisthenics. In fact, I even did more cardio on the bike because I couldn't run that much because I had to progress into running the kind of mileage I needed. So I needed another form of cardio. I was pretty decent at running or swimming. So I, instead of running more miles and getting hurt, I used the bike as my kind of like secondary cardio training, which was really good. It was a good leg day workout. Back then we weren't doing a lot of rucking prior to buds. I probably would add rucking in there too. So it depends. It depends on you. If you come out of this, if you come out of your athletic history into this world as a, let's say you're a cross country runner, like probably the guy above that was 5'10, 145 pounds, I would say, yeah, you need to be in the weight room. You need to put on some mass. Running and swimming, yeah, you need to maintain that, but that's not a major focus. Putting on mass and getting stronger is a major focus, and then maintaining some calisthenics. So I would go through like a lift cycle on that one. So it depends. The answer, Adriel, is it depends. Raising my hand, Heath, not a problem. What is volume in terms of physical fitness, please, sir? What about the nutrition side of things to add volume to the human body? Please, too, sir. I'm not sure really what you're asking there. Volume is basically amount. So maybe you're coming at this as a foreign language, not sure, but volume just means how much running are you doing in a week? How much calisthenics are you doing in a week? How much lifting are you doing in a week? How much swimming are you doing in the week? In the terms of volume is I'm running 35 miles a week. I'm doing 300 pull-ups, 500 push-ups, 500 sit-ups, and 300 dips a week. I'm doing 10,000 meters a week in the pool. That's volume. But it is progressive. It's not just, hey, one day you're going to pop in and do 35 miles a week when the previous week you did 10. It's not like that. It is a progressive process that builds you up by 10, 15% each week over time, as long as you're not injured or feeling overuse strains, then you can continue that progression. As far as the nutrition side of it, there's a lot to it. I'm not a nutritionist, but I've interviewed many of them. You should go to my podcast and check out some of the podcasts I've done. Read this. Check out this article as well, because it's got a great, let me see what this podcast is. This is a really good podcast with Nick Behringer, Lieutenant Colonel, PhD. In fact, I'll share the article. The video is embedded in that article. So check out that for your nutrition answers. Moving on. Any tips for bulking while running and swimming, or should I just drastically reduce the volume? I don't recommend reducing the volume, but it also depends. I naturally reduce my volume of running during the winter because I need a break from running, not because I'm trying to gain weight and bulk, but it just so happens I happen to be lifting more during the winter lift cycle. So, yes, that is a process that allows me to put on some strength, not just me, but my folks I coach, put on strength, but reduce the volume a little bit so they can put on some mass if they're trying to put on some mass. But we still have enough volume of running in there every week, 15, 20 miles, just to maintain the amount of cardio activity that they need. So you just simply have to eat more than you are running or swimming. So in a run, let's say you run 2 miles in a day and you're swimming for 1,000 meters in a day. That's not a whole lot. You might burn, I don't know, maybe 600 calories, right? Significant enough if you're trying to gain weight in a bulking lifting phase. So you just need to eat more than 600 calories to take into account that calorie burn. That's all it is. It's basically calories in, calories out. You can gain weight on a marathon training program if you eat like crazy. You eat a pizza every night and a big spoon of peanut butter every meal. You'll put on 600 calories easy. In fact, you do a scoop of peanut butter with every meal, you'll account for any running and swimming that you're doing that day. Promise. That's about 600 calories right there. Now, what I do is when I'm in a lifting phase, is I'm not doing long distance running or swimming. I'm doing shorter, faster runs and swims. So, for instance, last week we were lifting and we hit some runs. I think the longest we got in a day was 3 miles, but those 3 miles were broken up into quarters and half miles and even a mile, sprint. Um, See how fast you could do a mile. And we had guys, I think we had a guy hit 5:20, and he's a collegiate swimmer, so that was fun to see. The fastest runner was also a great swimmer who could swim 6 minute 500s. Um, I think he ran a 8:20 on his mile and a half recently. So he's doing really well. So all we're doing right now is focusing on that speed and that fast pace. We're not trying to add a bunch of volume just to add volume and running, especially during a lift cycle. So that's the key. Don't don't just add junk miles in there. Crush those things. What part of the pool competency tripped you up the most in second phase? You know what? I answered that one right, man. I got that one done the first time. I did not trip up on anything. Um, Now maybe that's because I had a really good instructor that wasn't hardcore, that wanted to drown you when you were down there. Um, but he gave me the knot and I was working on it and he saw me working on it, wasn't panicking, and he tapped me to say, that's the whammy knot. You're not going to get that one out. You can close it all up. And where I almost made a mistake is I was like, oh, cool. He just tapped me out. I wasn't expecting that in my procedures that I had been going over week after week after week, practicing in my head and practicing for real. And so I almost like as soon as I got tapped, I'd like put my hand up, but I still had stuff to do. I had my weight vest around my knees and I had my mask on. I was like, oh wait, I gotta store all this stuff. So I took my mask off. Or no, my mask was off. It was floating around somewhere because he ripped that off earlier. So I had a weight vest around my knees just to hold me down. So I had to take that, stow all the straps, put it over, and then come up and do my thing. And he said, "You almost messed that one up." I said, "I know. I wasn't expected to be tapped. It was out of my range of procedures." And he just laughed and he said, "No, you were doing well. That was the whammy knot. You weren't getting that one undone." I was like, "Cool." He goes, "Congrats, finished first time." So where a lot of people screw that one up is they just get out of sync with their procedures. So Once you learn the procedures, practice them, practice them, practice them. Don't practice till you get them right. Practice till you can't get them wrong. And then just remember, if you get tapped, that's a signal for you to come to the surface, but don't get too excited about it because you still have stuff to do before you can come up to the surface. What are the last 4 weeks at Bud's like? Well, you're at the island for 3 of those 4 weeks. So you're finishing up a lot of cool stuff at the island, shooting, explosives, mission planning. It's probably the most fun at Bud's. It's very hard work, though. The days are long, probably 18, 20-hour days. A lot of weapons cleaning because you're shooting a lot. You're still working out hard. Um, and then that last week, you come home to the Coronado, and it's really kind of a week of morning PTs and admin where you're practicing graduation, you turn in all your gear, um, and just get ready to move into the next phase of training. So it's kind of a laid back week. In fact, they call it Kegger Hell Week because there's a lot of parties that week. So let's see. I'm training for Italian Special Forces. Have you ever? Oh, love them. Incassori. Yes, we worked with those guys when we were in the Med. They were on our sub. We were on their training grounds in, I think, La Spezia, perhaps. I think that's where it was. Can't remember, but anyway, we had the best time with them, and they were really good in the water. Really good. They could handle their own any scuba, you know, underwater mission. They were solid, and then on land too as well. Like those guys, we had fun, man. We never had a bad meal in Italy. By far, my favorite European country. Really enjoy Italy. Um, always want to give you a huge thank you for everything you've done for. Oh, thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. What should I do if I get my period in buds? Just you know, I know you asked this question again, and I blocked you. Because I don't know. I mean, what do you do if you get it during a triathlon? Do you stop? Just keep going. Like I tell you, man, I peed my pants, shit my pants a couple times at buds. A lot of times at peeing. I don't know what to tell you. Let it flow. I don't have an answer for you though. I mean, there are plenty of times when you can go to the bathroom every in between every evolution. You can go to the bathroom, so it's not that big a deal. People ask about when can I go use the bathroom. Use the bathroom just about any time you want. Sometimes you can't because you're in the middle of a 4 mile timed run or a 2 mile swim, and nature happens. Sometimes it happens. Just let it go. Would I be able to get physically prepared for buds if I was stationed on a ship before started training? Unlikely, just to be honest with you. Fire Rose, you got to stop. You know, I'm not female buds Google. Hang on 1 second. All right, so I feel like I am developing a knee injury. Should I just take a week off of running? Yeah, try replacing running with biking for a little while, and go with that. Give that a shot. But foam roll, stretch. If you feel like compression might work, compression sleeve. See if that makes it feel better. All right, so here's the deal. If I missed your question, send it to me in an email, stu@stewsmith.com. Happy to answer them, even if it's repetitive. I will respond in some way. So You guys come back tomorrow, 9 o'clock. I'll be here talking combat swimmer stroke. And you can also go to my TikTok page and check out more than 100 combat swimmer stroke videos. Go to stewsmithfitness.com. Check out the articles up there. Plenty of articles and books, programs, online coaching, all that. And if you like this, share it with somebody. Happy to get more people on these shows, asking more questions. So you guys have a good one.